to the Cast Off. This is the #1 recasting show on the internet where two contestants compete by recasting your favorite actors in movies you love. I'm your host, Craig Price, and man, we have a great show for you tonight. Go get your mom and grandma because we're going deep into their demographic with the best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and I went and found the two biggest grandmas I could find. Richard Jensen and Troy Mangum are here. Welcome, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, sir.
I would be offended by that, except it's so true that I have to agree with you.
Yeah, you love your grandma, and you like this is a perfect movie to take your grandma to take your mom to. I like this movie, but I also know that this is a movie my mom adores, so it's always good. But we're going to start with Richard. Richard, how are things going out there in the great Northwest?
Fine. Counter Great Film Works is still moving. We've had to change things up a little bit because we've had a resurgence of COVID with this new variant. So instead of making full shorts, I've kind of created a one-man web series called The Hollywood Stories of Marty Lydecker. The premise is that a 122-year-old man got a hold of me and said that he's been working in below-the-line projects as a below-the-line crew member in any number of films from about 1918 to 2007, and he wants to tell his stories.
So this is that's an interesting concept. How's things been going with that? How do you like working by yourself? Because you can only complain about the director so much, and you can only complain about the actor so much.
Well, fortunately, I find myself fairly easy to work with, except because I have to write these things so fast. I don't have time for memorization, so I've got. It's a bit of a. There's a lot of stuff that you have to kind of deal with. You got to deal with the green screen for the background. You got to deal with knowing where the eye line is because you're looking at the script at the same time you're reading into the camera. But it's fun. It's been a fun little exercise.
Well, get yourself a teleprompter like I have, and you can kind of fake it somewhat. So,
how much do those cost? Because right now,
you can't afford it. It's an iPad. It's an old iPad. It's my wife's old iPad, and I pay $1 a month for an app. So, hey, Troy, you've got nothing to promote.
I don't. I just promote myself because I'm cool like that.
You don't even promote your brother's podcast?
No, he does enough promoting for himself. If I start promoting it, it's just going to go to his head. He's got a big enough ego. But if you really want to feel sympathetic to
that's okay.
Tracy,
no,
okay, good.
He'll be on at some point. He can do it himself. I'm just trying to figure out what we can possibly do to whore you out. But you just have the ethics you have are unbelievable. You cannot be broken. You will not succumb. No. You will not sell your soul for anything. The only thing is Marvel shirts, I guess.
In the family, I got all of the ethics, which is why I'm the hero and Tracy is the villain.
He's the evil brother. I got it. Well, we actually do have a show to get going to, and of course, we have to get to our rules. So the rules have not changed. They're pretty much the same that they've always been. I am going to name a character in the movie, and you're going to recast them with an actor throughout all of space and time. So this is one, especially with Richard Jensen's here, it definitely can be from anybody since the beginning of film itself. So I'm surprised he's not actually recast the train that comes at you in that 1902 film that people scared themselves. He goes that far back. But the best choice gets 1 point. I'm playing along with you, and if you happen to get my point, my choice, you will get an additional point. So, and because often my choice is the best choice, so if you start to see yourself fall behind, you can easily get 2 points and start crawling your way back. Person with the most points wins, and if there's a tie, a double feature to win. And this will be. We had just had a tie for the first time in probably like 20 games last week. So please don't do that again because that means I have to decide the winner, and I'd rather have a jury of 3 instead of just me. But let's get going. As always, this show is brought to you by Matinee Heroes, and my birthday is next week, so, I'll send you out my Venmo and PayPal. We're celebrating this weekend with one of my favorites of all time, Clear and Present Danger. So head over to matineeheroes.com and subscribe, and while you're there, if you like this show, you can hear tonight's post-show exclusively on the audio version of Cast Off every Thursday in the Matinee Heroes feed. Or you can also, while you're there, go to matinheroes.com/castoff and find the video feed where we are every Tuesday. So let's cash in our retirement and head to one of our former colonies to exploit the cheaper cost of healthcare as we check into the best exotic Marigold Hotel. And I pretty much feel like this picture every day. So I feel old. I'm definitely Maggie Smith in the wheelchair. I'm just asleep. I'm off to the
Hopefully
side.
minus the racism.
Yeah. Oh well. Yes, definitely without the racism. So, Richard, you have won, and you are going to go first, and we are going to start with Dame Judi Dench as Evelyn Greenslade, a recently widowed housewife who moves to India after paying off her husband's debts, because everyone is moving to India because it's cheaper. Always good to exploit the resources of a country you once quote-unquote owned, and then because they're cheap, now we're going to go live there and exploit them even more. So who do you have playing the main lady, Evelyn, out and around looking at India?
I'm not gonna lie, this was a particularly tough one because, my God, how do you recast Judi Dench? So I had to find somebody who had that kind of same regalness in their old age, and so I went with Olivia de Havilland.
Absolutely. I was you don't know how long it took me to find this picture, because I mean, she was a golden age legend, so I can find you pictures of Gone with the Wind. I can find you pictures of her in Captain Blood and Adventures of Robin Hood, and they die with their boots on, but it wouldn't give you the right idea of the character we want, right? Because we want the older versions of Olivia de Havilland. I think that's a great pick, especially for the younger viewers who don't know who she is. I think it's important they go back and find out, because she was amazing. So
I have Adventures of Robin Hood. That is a great, great movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Troy, who do you have to go up against a legend like Olivia de Havilland?
Well, she's the main character. She does all this growth. She gets a job for the first time. And the only person I could do to be Dame Judi Dench was Julie Andrews.
Dame Julie Andrews, yes. She's known for her perfect pitch because she can sing, as we saw in Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music, but she can act like we saw in 10 and Victor Victoria. And for some of our viewers who may be younger, she was in The Princess Diaries. So, because everybody else, everything I said right before then was 1985 or earlier. So what is it about Julie Andrews that you thought was good, besides the fact that she's wonderful?
Well, it's just the fact that she can carry that. You root for her. She's believable that she wouldn't have any experience except being the wife, and now has to grow and does it so well.
Yeah,
I could only think Julie Andrews could do that.
She wouldn't be a kept woman. She like a housewife. She would definitely be a trophy wife, because Julie Andrews was amazing throughout her whole Christian. She was beautiful from the day she was born.
Oh,
that is true.
Yeah. So we've got Olivia de Havilland, Julie Andrews, our judges conferred, and Julie Andrews. So Troy, you get the first point. I went with Shirley MacLaine. I'm going to Americanize this, and so I went with all American actors. Because I do feel that you can still put Americans in certain parts of the world, and it's not necessarily colonization, but we're still just as obnoxious as the British. So I think they still fit.
When you think colonization, you think America, so that works.
Well, we're one of the colonies. We just exploited back. Anyways, next we have the great Bill Nighy as Douglas Ansley, who lost his retirement savings thanks to investing into his daughter's dumb internet company, which is very relevant nowadays. I know a few people who have invested in their kids' companies and have lost it, unfortunately. So, Troy, who do you have replacing the magnificent and wonderful, a person I was his personal bodyguard for an evening at CineQuest, Bill Nighy?
Well, that was well done, because you smoothly dropped to that in. Props to you for that.
And I want to say that nobody attacked him, and he lived through the experience.
Well, who would want to attack him if you're his bodyguard?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why they put me in that spot. Yeah. You got
I'm keeping 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Back to the game show, though.
No.
I went with Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Oh.
Why Michael Caine?
I needed somebody that is that kind of believable, that he invests because he loves his daughter. Then he goes through this emotional growth, has to have his issues. I don't want to go into spoiler territory with the wife.
Well, you can go into spoiler
just-
territory. If you haven't seen the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel by now, ask your mom. She'll spoil it for you. I'm sure she did trying to explain it. Well, Michael Caine is awesome because he is Christopher Nolan's good luck charm, as we saw him in the Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, and The Prestige. But also, we just did Dirty Rotten Scoundrels last month for Steve Martin month, which is one of my favorites of Steve Martin, and Michael Caine's perfect in it. And of course, we've done a Muppet Christmas Carol. I can't give you extra points, but congratulations, Troy, for getting every single one of these movies as a matinee hero. We've done it before on the back catalog. So head over to matineeheroes.com and explore almost 300. We're coming up on 300 in October. Well,
I was rooting for that. I'm like, how many product placements can I do for Matinee Heroes in my picks?
I'm telling you, if there's a way that we could give extra points and not influence the game, I would, but we can't, so we won't. So,
but I'm going to keep trying.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I'm going to keep trying.
If you can't plug your brother's podcast, at least I'll plug the podcast you're on. Richard.
I am going to get skunked on this game. I know it. Okay. I wanted somebody who was kind of Bill Nighy-like, very tall, very lean, very angular, somebody who could project that kind of flintiness. And I went with an older Danny Kaye.
One of my favorite actors of all time. I absolutely adore Danny Kaye because I used to grow up watching on HBO. We used to have The Secret Life of Walter Mitty all the time and the Hans Christian Andersens. We did The White Christmas here on Matinee Heroes for musical month several years ago. Hopefully we won't do that again. But he is a traditional song and dance man, and one of the things that he is amazing at is the what they call patter singing, where he and he can do that so fast, and he's so talented at it.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Court Jester is one of my favorite movies. That he is magic in that film.
Danny Kaye's great in a lot of things. I think if you're the last thing he did that people would know was he played a dentist on the Cosby Show in 1987.
And before that, he was actually in an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah,
called Paladin of the Lost Hour, that was written by Harlan Ellison.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of TV. He had his own TV show too, so a very talented guy. Again, one of my favorites. But we have Michael Caine, Danny Kaye. Unfortunately, the judges are younger than me, and they went with Michael Caine, and so Troy has doubled up, and now he is 2-0. But it's still early, and there's lots and lots of Craig's picks to come. So, Richard, if you stay within the 20th and 21st century, you might be able to hit it. I went with Jack Nicholson. I went with the great Jack Nicholson. I think he can play subdued as he got older. Him and Shirley MacLaine doing a terms of endearment kind of thing. I think it would be a nice little comeback, little reunion. But next we get to Dame Penelope Winton as Douglas's wife, Jean. And Jean is very nervous and very uptight, but she has the hots for a judge that we'll talk about in a minute, who doesn't quite have the hots back for her, and we'll talk about the reason why in a second as well. So, Richard, who do you have playing the nervous wife?
You know what? I kind of went with speaking of Court Jester, I went with a Court Jester reunion. I went with Angela Lansbury.
Absolutely. Angela Lansbury, known for an 80s TV serial killer, because there's no way on Murder, She Wrote she wasn't involved in all of those murders. So she was definitely playing one of the most prolific serial killers of all time. She was in National Velvet, so we're going to start going out back. The Manchurian Candidate, which we did here at Matinee Heroes. Of course, she was Miss Potts in Beauty and the Beast, and the original Death on the Nile in the 70s, which I'm hoping to do here on the podcast at some point.
That's a good one. They recently had that as a Saturday matinee on the Criterion channel. Got my plug in.
Yeah, you got your Criterion nickel. Mentions it every time.
It's a really good movie. I haven't seen the Brand one yet, so I don't know how it compares. The original.
They're good. They're both good, but I like those Peter Ustinov. Let's get as many celebrities as we can for like a cameo movie, but it's not Burt Reynolds' Cannonball Run, which I like, but it's not the same thing. It's Cannonball Run for people who are educated.
There you go.
So, Troy, who do you have to go up against the serial killer that is Angela Lansbury?
Well, now I'm worried because she might come after me if since I didn't pick Angela Lansbury, but I needed somebody that could be the reserved, kind of shock to the system when she first gets there, but also kind of throws herself at the judge later on. So I went with Tilda Swinton.
Now, finding an older picture of Tilda Swinton was difficult, but apparently it was in a movie called The Souvenir, and what this picture is from, so she played an older lady there, because I could not use the extremely old lady from the Grand Budapest Hotel, which she's known for otherworldly characters, and she was in Vanilla Sky. She played a real person in Michael Clayton. Then she goes back to being weird again in Doctor Strange and Snowpiercer and the Grand Budapest Hotel, and you are now, second time, all 5 of those movies we've done here at Matinee Heroes. Well done. Good job. So go to matineeheroes.com and go back to our back archives and listen to that. So well done on that. We have
You're welcome.
Angela Lansbury, Tilda Swinton, and the judges decided you got to go with Angela Lansbury.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just
I'm on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I went with Jean Stapleton. And
she would have been.
yeah, she would have been. You could say that out loud. She would have been perfect because absolutely. And Jean Stapleton, if you don't know, she was Archie Bunker's wife, Edith. But she was actually a great actress in her own. I was thinking about Maureen Stapleton, but I think Maureen Stapleton, her sister, is a little too sophisticated, and I wanted Jean can play that nervous Nellie a lot better. Well, next we go to that judge we just talked about is Tom Wilkinson as Sir Graham Dashwood, who's his wood dashes to a different pile, I guess, who moves back to India to rekindle his boyhood memories, but oops, it looks like things look a whole lot different when you're not oppressing people. So his idea of what it was like when he was a kid is totally different now that the British have left. So I believe that we have Troy. Troy, who do you have playing the judge?
Well, I needed somebody that was going to go back, had those, he was excited to go. He had all those good memories, then has kind of a shock to the system when he gets there. Also having that secret that he deals with throughout the movie. So to me, I went with Sir Ian McKellen.
Ah, well done on this one. Ian McKellen, he's known for gatekeeping because, as we all know, you shall not pass, and that's what all gatekeepers do. From the Lord of the Rings trilogy, from the X-Men movies, Apt Pupil, Gods and Monsters, and not afraid of cashing a check, he did Cats.
Everybody's got a slum for money.
Hey, you had Michael Caine, who was the biggest whore, and admittedly so. He didn't even accept his Oscar because he was doing Jaws 4. And he's like, it's all right. I used that to buy my second house. Good for you, Michael. At least you know what it is. Life is, it's a job.
Get away with it.
Absolutely.
Do it.
So who do you have to go up against Sir Ian McKellen, Richard?
Well, I wanted to find somebody who could play somebody that old and kind of regretful, so I went with Colonel Blimp himself, Roger Lively.
This is the only picture I could find in color of Roger Lively. He was known for noble characters, and like the Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, and I Know Where I'm Going. He was in the League of Gentlemen and the Entertainer, and he had a part in Hamlet. Again, I don't think a lot of people know him, so we have Ian McKellen, Roger Lively, and we had to go with some of the known quantity on this one. Troy, you have gone 3-1. I went with Don Amici because you want someone classy and who gives the air of being authoritative, but you never know. He might have he might leave a different lifestyle, and if he did, you wouldn't be surprised, nor would you care because you shouldn't. It's not a big deal. All you light year idiots. All right, enough of me on my soapbox. Next, we have Dame Maggie Smith. A lot of dames in this movie as Muriel Donnelly, a retired, mildly racist maid. And I'm going to say mildly racist because she's not like attacking people and doing horrible things. She's grandma racist, just scared of different people. And she moved to India for a cheaper, quicker hip surgery. So, Richard, who do you have someone who truly is broke but is exploiting her situation with exploiting the population of India?
Well, I went with somebody who I knew had that kind of, again, same flintiness, kind of same sarcastic tone. I went with an older Betty Davis.
Ah, absolutely. Betty Davis, she's known for her eyes. I think that song is more widely known than she is by now, unfortunately. And if you don't know Betty Davis, go see All About Eve. She was also in Death of the Nile, so you seem to have that going for you. Return from Witch Mountain, which is what this picture's from. But she was one of the great Hollywood legends who really could be a, really cranky person at all. She really played her crank up. So Troy, who do you have? Who do you have to go against Betty Davis?
So this one was really hard for me because I had to find someone that was, as you said, grandma racist, but you also have to love and root for, and that was difficult. But the only person I could think of to pull that off was Helen Mirren, who's also a dame.
Yeah, Dame Helen Mirren, who, looking at her, she does not look like she would be grandma racist. I'm sorry. She is a timeless beauty. We have talked about her endlessly here on the podcast. As anybody knows, my dear departed Gertrude, my 16-and-a-half-year-old pug that passed away in May, we called her the Helen Mirren of dogs because, just like Helen Mirren, as she ages, she looks more beautiful, and my pug did too. One of my favorite movies she was ever in, it was the wife of Harrison Ford in Mosquito Coast. She was in Caligula, 2010, The Queen, and we will see her this fall in Shazam! Fury of the Gods, where she plays Hesperia, I believe. I don't know. She's playing one of the gods. So we have Betty Davis, Helen Mirren. Once again, I think the popular choice, not necessarily the best choice. And for Sam Levitt, I did not vote for Helen Mirren. That's a very odd. I love Helen Mirren, but I really think Betty Davis would be better. But I was outruled, so I want to show that my prejudice for and against certain people. I thought Betty Davis was really good for this. I went with Jessica Tandy, Miss Daisy herself. So we got a lot of old people going through here. So let's get to somebody young, because this movie is about a young man who's smart and ambitious. And he's the young, and we have Sonny, the young Indian local who runs the hotel. But his lies to lure the old folks to his motel could also reinforce Muriel's racist intents. All of a sudden, she's starting to realize, hey, this guy lied to me. Why isn't, I guess they're all lying weirdos. So who do you have, Troy, playing the young Indian who is falling in love, and he's super high positive, and he's a marketing guy and all this stuff. So who do you have?
So I needed somebody that is that. He reaches above what he can actually grab. He's a dreamer. He'll get to the details later. I'm going to butcher the name, but I went with Kunal Naor.
Kunal Naor, yes, from The Big Bang. He's known for a TV nerd. And after that, not much. He's in the Troll movies. He did a BBC show called Suspicion. And he was in 2 movies called Consumed and Dr. Cabby, which I have never heard of nor seen.
He's been in The Big Bang Theory. That's all we know.
That's all we know. That's all you need to know, because he was really good as Kuthaprali. He was very good. So, Richard, which young Indian did you pick?
I went with Mr. Danny Pudi.
Danny Pudi, yes.
I missed him.
Known for being on DuckTales, Larry, which was the best thing that anyone's ever said to Larry King. When Larry King was asking him what he does with his millions of dollars, he's like, I'm on DuckTales, Larry. I don't have millions of dollars. He's known for Community. He was in the movies The Knights of Badassdom, Road Trip, Beer Pong, which is a sequel, so that can't be good, the Apple TV show Mythic Quest, and he did have a cameo in Captain America Winter Soldier. So we've got 2 very talented young TV Indian stars in Kunal Nair and Danny Pudi, and we're going to give it to Richard Jensen. And so you are still in this. You are still in this because you are only 2 points down, and there's 3 points on the board. We're going to take one away because I went with Parvish China. He was in a very mildly racist television show called Outsourced, but it was very funny, and he was very charming in it. And he always plays the worrisome but yet self-effacing, very nice. I really like what he does. He's now very much bearded up, and he looks like a very happy Indian Santa.
Yeah, by the way, do you know you haven't been able to switch anything for the last couple of minutes?
Yeah, it's okay. It happens.
Okay.
It happens.
To let you know.
I'm on it. Don't worry. There's always a screw up. We have to have one technical screw up, and if you can just sit there and give out answers, I have to do all this other stuff. And so now we finally go to the last one. We have Madge, played by Celia Emery, who is hunting for another husband to subsidize her twilight years. So, Richard, you're going to not only have to get this correct, you're going to have to lock in with me. So let's start off with, who are you going to choose to be the gold digging younger? I guess she's the youngest of the group. The gold digging one looking for a new husband.
I went with Gene Simmons. Not the one from Kiss, but the other Gene Simmons.
Oh, you did? So that's good, because I was going to say that Gene Simmons.
Oh, you
very, very odd. He was in Kiss Me Meets
Bold
the
choice.
But it's actually the real Gene Simmons, known as she was a Hollywood starlet. She was in Spartacus, which didn't you join me for that one?
Yeah, that was an episode I was on.
That's right.
On the main feed.
That's right. The Thornbirds, the original Blue Lagoon, and Guys and Dolls, and Elmer Gantry. So she's a very well known. Definitely not the helmet-haired rock star. Oh God, his hair looks so bad. I don't know what's the deal is. But
I've never been a member of the Kiss Army.
that's all right. Not many people have or will admit it. Troy, are you a member of the Kiss Army?
I am not.
All right. So who do you
I'm
have?
not, you know,
Who do you have to go
the
up
beard,
against?
to get the makeup on top of the beard, it's just not going to look right.
Well, you could incorporate it. It could happen. So who do you
You
have?
look like Cesar Romero as the Joker.
Yeah.
There you go.
Who do you have to
Now
go up
it's
against
plausible.
Gene Simmons?
So, come on. She's a gold digger. She's looking for another husband. It had to be Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
There's only one Hollywood person that would fit trying to just get another man in the twilight of her life. It's Elizabeth Taylor.
Well, I have one of her first movies, National Velvet, and in between, she's a giant, Cleopatra, The Taming of the Shrew, and her last movie was The Flintstones. Yes, everybody needs a check. And Elizabeth Taylor, Michael Jackson's best friend. So we've got Gene Simmons, Elizabeth Taylor. Richard, you need to get this right just to be eligible for the tie. Not to get the tie, but to be eligible for the tie. And unfortunately, that did not happen. And so that means that, Troy, you are today's winner. Do you have any final thoughts for us today?
I would like to take this opportunity to once again not plug my brother's podcast. He hasn't invited me on it, so I'm not going to plug it. And instead, I'm going to say, just keep watching Cast Off and Matinee Heroes, because these are the two best podcasts out there.
Well, I appreciate that. Do you subscribe to the podcast?
You know I subscribe to the podcast. And happy belated birthday, by the way. I haven't told you that.
No, it's early birthday. It's next week. Alan's birthday was last week. So
Early birthday.
Yeah, it's okay. It'll be exactly a week from today. But before we go, let me do my final thoughts, which is always whoring out the podcast. We need more subscribers. We always need more subscribers. We are constantly at 80. Some days we're at 82, and then I go back and check. We're at 80. I just need 20 of you to make up fake accounts. Get your Russian friends to make fake accounts just so I can get the URL, and then as soon as I get that, I won't talk about this anymore. I will not. I promise. And then finally, we do have some official T-shirts, and this is where I rarely do this, but I am going to go back because I don't like to show myself on this show, but I actually have one in my hands. So when we do this, it is going to be Scream, and we have some official Scream cast-off shirts for sale right now, so head over to matineeheroes.com/store. You will go to the website, and you will see not only do we have the great cast-off shirts of the Scream edition, of the Sonic the Hedgehog edition, we also are going to be doing cast-off clerks at FanX, so you pick those up, and if you can buy those two shirts, everybody wears them to the show, and I want to see an audience full of cast-off shirts. That would be awesome. It's not going to happen, but a boy can dream. Well, let's get on. We still have things to talk about. We still have a show. And speaking of FanX, next week we have two people from FanX as we go deep into the FanX catalog with program director Blake Castleman and the man himself, the face and mouth of FanX, Chris Provost, as they do a movie featuring Vincent D'Onofrio, who's going to be there, Men in Black. So they're going to recast Men in Black. I'm still hoping that I get Vincent D'Onofrio. We'll find out. Maybe this will push Blake to the limit, and he'll just cancel me, and I won't show up at all. Or I might have a chance of doing more stuff. But you want to be on the show? It's real simple. Head over to matineeheroes.com/castoff/application. Fill one out. And you too could be on the show. That's how we had one of our favorites, Sam Levitt, on the show. She always does a great job, and she came on through the application. Or you can email me at mhcastoff@gmail.com. Either way, I'm going to send you to the link. You can follow us on the Castoff Show on Twitter. We have a Facebook group. We have cast/castoff@matineeheroes.com, where you can follow the links to the video feeds, which includes twitch.tv/matineeheroes, which I believe that's how you watch the show, Richard, is on Twitch, correct? Just say yes and move on.
Yes.
He doesn't. Just say yes and move on. Additional judges, my lovely wife, Heather Price, and our lovely, always recurring judge, Elizabeth Rapp, who will be on my birthday episode of Clear and Present Danger. So, on behalf of myself and, of course, today's winner, Richard Jensen, and today's not winner, Troy Mangum, I'm Craig Price. This has been...
Hello.
Who's that?
Hello, what?
If you want to call me the winner, that's fine. But I got stumped.
Oh, that's right.
Don't take away my win.
I'm sorry. I had it. I was hoping that Richard would win someday, just because he needs the help. He needs the emotional push. He's sick. He's got COVID. He doesn't want to.
I do not have COVID.
He doesn't want to admit it,
test came back
but he's got it. But on behalf of both our contestants, winner Troy Mangum and loser Richard Jensen. See, it doesn't sound good when I say that. You should have just shut up and kept it going.
It sounds good to me.
My name's Craig Price. We will see you next week on the Cast Off.